I watched her as she slowly stopped loving me. I observed over a period of weeks the way she went from jumping excitedly when we talked to dismissing me, and then to gently suggesting that I was a bit stupid. I watched my lack of self-respect begin to bleed into her like a watercolor painting when two wet colors touch together. My self-hatred, a black water bead on the page, trying to hold its surface tension on the paper. And much too close, my love for her, swirling all around it, a deep, vibrant red. A slip of the tongue and my paintbrush touched that midnight to that blood, and I saw my own self-hatred mirrored back to me in her. I think I know why she's doing this. I've known people with no self-respect, and eventually I lost respect for them too because it was too hard to coddle their ego, nested on a mountain of self-hatred. I watched her good nature slowly cut off from me without understanding why. I watch her live without me. She looks happy, and I miss the days when that same version of her was happy with me. I feel certain it's all my fault. If I'd just played my cards differently, listened more intently, had the right opinions about people, books, love, that she would have stayed, that she might have held me longer. Understanding that I could never have done that settles over me like a wet blanket, that I wanted her to love me for who I actually am, and if I'd managed to say and do all the right things, then she'd never really love me. She'd love a fantasy, one I'd made up for her because I couldn't let her go. Her staying with me would mean nothing. It hurts all the time to know that in laying myself bare before her, she saw me for exactly what I am, and it wasn't good enough. Confirmation of my fear is that deep down I'm not really good, that the things I lived through weren't simply bad things that happened to a good person, but that they'd got inside me somehow, and the badness was a part of me in ways that couldn't be sifted through, that I make people worse by being myself, and the ethical thing to do is to stay away. I woke up in the middle of the night for months afterward. In a cold sweat, I'd find myself calling her name, my cheeks wet with tears I didn't remember shedding. Most of the time, I'd find my phone somehow in my hand, screen glowing, open to our messages, and a half-written text asking her to come to me and make it all okay again. In a moment, I'd remember where I was and erase my dream text, although a few times I woke up and found that the text had already been sent, and often left unread. I'd pull my pillow close to me and let my tears soak into my 1998 Harry Potter pillowcase, hoping my heart could bleed all its sadness into it. I never told her about my screams. I always said they were dreams, because I never wanted her to believe that she was the reason I was hurting. I knew she didn't want to listen to my nightmares anyway. I think this was when I realized she probably didn't quite love me. Curled around the pillow like a child with a favorite doll, afraid to sleep again, I knew what waited for me in dreams. Tired of waking in darkness, I started sleeping with fairy lights around my bed to help with the nightmares. I'm happy to report they helped a lot. I think this must be the worst part of human beings. When you first meet someone, they'll tell you exactly who they are and what they think. They'll open up to you excitedly. And as you lose them, you have to infer the loss from across the gaps in their presence, and then eventually from their absence. Very few people will tell you when they're leaving or why, which means any space in communication could be the normal spaces in which we live our private lives. Or it could be the space that means, this time I hate you. This time the gaps are only going to get bigger and bigger until you never see me at all. Their exit in slow motion.